Good evening everyone, and I welcome all my lovely viewers and all the charming aspirants of SSB and all the fans of how to crack SSB. And today we are starting with the very first episode of the show, Youth Weds Passion. This idea just came 1 month back, and we have already been getting thousands and I would say rather lakhs of requests from the aspirants, where they have been writing to me and telling me, sir, if you can come online and if you can come up with a very strategic series of videos or something which can enable us in helping to get into or to understand the SSB in a better way. Though we have already been recording, I have personally done so many sessions on SSB and many of them are already on YouTube as well. But this show is special, is more special than that, and is very specific and is extraordinary goal oriented. Now, the very first episode of the show, Youth Weds Passion. So let me just tell you in a very nutshell that within the show we will be starting right from the scratch, and from scratch we will be escalating high so as to cover the whole SSB process in a practical way, showcasing the various examples, how things are done and what is the overall essence and the core of SSB. The very first episode that we are starting today is the very important thing that one has to understand is what is SSB. And let me tell you, 90% of the people don't know what is SSB. They know the utility of SSB, but they don't know what is SSB. There's a difference, you know, a usage of a system, but knowing that what it is very different. And many times people have, even I have faced this, where they ask me that what is the point, sir, in understanding the meaning of SSB or what it is. So they say it's a simple examination, a simple way to get into armed forces. It's one of the leg. So why it is important and what it is, you will going to get to know in next 2 minutes. See, SSB, as it stands for Service Selection Board. Now, what is an SSB? SSB is a evaluation system which actually determines your suitability as an officer in Indian Armed Forces. Now, when I say this, many of you might be thinking that for getting into any exam, IAS, IPS, engineering, IITs, medical, there is always an evaluation system. So what is so special about this? That's correct. It's an evaluation system like other systems have, other examinations or other places have their own evaluation, but this evaluation is not an evaluation what we generally go with. So more, if I need to talk about all other evaluation system, they are more information objective, highly logical, in the sense that you have to train yourself, you have to practice yourself, and it's more about a skill of a particular thing. When I say skill means something which you have to practice, and you actually, because of the virtue of practice, it comes in your habit. But when it comes to SSB, the SSB evaluation says, I don't want to test what you have practiced. I don't want to test what you want to showcase to me. They say, I just want to test that originally, genuinely, and by default who you are. That means SSB is a pure 100% personality test. And when I talk about personality, what personality means is that what are the various faculties and various the ways you look out at things, your perception about everything that's going in and around you, about the society, about the people, about the nation, about your own self, and how you react and control various states of emotions. Because controlling reaction on various states of emotion, your interaction, this all clubbed together forms your personality. And SSB says, I'm here to test not your practice, rather who you are. That's the goal of SSB. And this is why you need to understand that for SSB, ideally, no practice is required. Just the information about a system and understanding the very core and the very demand of the system will help you to prepare yourself better for it. So if I need to tell you in a very nutshell, SSB is not about a skill, it's more about an adaptation. So when I say adaptation means when a system has to test your personality. So within the personality, things which you need to bring in for getting into forces, they cannot be learned, they can be adapted. आप पर्सनालिटी में किसी भी चीज़ को लर्न नहीं करते, जैसे फियर है, डर को दूर करना सीखा नहीं जाता, ये आप अडैप्ट करते हैं. और कैसे अडैप्ट करते हैं, इसको आप अडैप्ट करने के लिए you actually work on your own self. And working on yourself doesn't mean कि स्किल बेस कोई किताब पढ़ेंगे या अच्छी मोटिवेशनल स्टोरीज पढ़ेंगे या आप 4 बस बात सुनेंगे. ये चीज़ें आपके लिए कैटलिस्ट का काम कर सकती हैं. दिस कैन हेल्प यू as a catalyst, but you have to truly work on yourself. So an SSB, if I need to give you in a nutshell an analogy, a comparison just for an understanding, so you can take it as an SSB. From SSB you get into forces. So consider an example of cricket, right? So people who play for India, so there is a one very important cup that is always played in the country in India, and that is Ranji Trophy. So you can say, just for an understanding, so this is a Ranji Trophy, this is an SSB. Ranji Trophy evaluates who are the best players, the ones who are very phenomenal, and they somehow get a space to move forward. Now why I am doing this comparison is because, again, cricket, if I talk about also, is an adaptation, not a skill. There are tricks, there is a science, there are ways that you need to understand while playing various shots. But if you do not have in you to be a cricketer, that means you do not love to be a cricketer. Just reading, understanding those strategies, or someone has told you, or just you are standing on the pitch, will not make you a great and a phenomenal cricketer. In the same way, if you really do not love Indian Armed Forces, you really do not have that thing in you, you really not passionate about Indian Armed Forces, really you want to do something less ordinary in your life, you love challenges, you love various magnitude of variations in your life, until and unless you do not love all this, you cannot adapt and induct those important features and faculties in your personality. Those are the criteria, and that's the demand of the evaluation system of SSB, and that is what SSB is all about. Now, due to this ignorance and due to this lack of understanding about what SSB is all about and what it is ideally, many people call it as an interview and many of them call it as an exam. But ideally, as I have just discussed with you, you can very easily understand that it is neither an exam nor an interview. But why generally we call it as an interview? Yes, to an extent it's correct, because in the whole process of an SSB, there is one phase which is an interview phase. So it consists of a couple of phases like psychology, interview, GTO. Then obviously before all three you have a screening as well, right? So all these three cumulatively form the whole SSB, but generally in a layman terms people say it is an interview, but ideally it's not an interview. Rather you can call it as it is a personality evaluation. But yes, calling it as an exam is an absolutely incorrect statement, because as I just told you that it is not an exam, and majority of people consider it as an exam. Due to this only, there is one more problem, and that is so many myths are there in the market. So many myths are there going on within the aspirants. Just because of this reason, they take it as an exam. Why? So I'll tell you with 100% logic. Now the success rate of SSB is very low. So at times, if there are 100 people, only 2 might get recommended, 4, 5, 6, or sometimes whole batch is washed out. No one is recommended. Now please understand, it is not that the success ratio is very low. It's all about the suitable personality is not there. You can only say the success ratio is low when ideally it is an exam. When you say that the criteria is very tough, the level is very tough, the marking is very tough. Due to this, the success ratio is low. The candidates getting recommended is very low. But it is not an exam. What they are doing is they are simply evaluating your personality. And the idea is very simple. If out of 100, 50 chaps who has that gut, who has that particular personality, 50 will get recommended, and at times no one has that particular personality, no one gets recommended. It's as simple as that. But because we have taken it an exam, we have created a myth, the success rate is very low, and this gives rise of fear for SSB within the minds of the aspirants. So please, this is very, very important. When you start for SSB, please understand that it is not an exam. Because what happens if the start will be in the fear, if the start will be with ignorance, if the start is without any detailed knowledge, without the very core of the essence, the very core essence of that particular thing, 100%, that is damn sure that you cannot clear it, you cannot get recommended. For clearing, for doing, for surpassing in your life or in any avenue or in the SSB, clarity is very important. So the clarity has to be right from the very first stage. Otherwise your ignorance, lack of knowledge, and the wrong words that are going on, the myths, will going to create a situation where you will going to start in the wrong dimension, and obviously when the start is wrong, end cannot be the good. That's the whole reason you need to understand what is SSB, importance, not an exam, called as an interview, but still it is ideally not an interview also. Rightly it's a personality evaluation, and why people are fearful. And otherwise, if we genuinely peep inside into the SSB, there is nothing fear about it. It's a very, very simple process. And this is the reason, because it's the evaluation of an armed forces officer which determines the suitability of a person to be an officer. It is called as the main central gateway. That is, you have 20 different options to come into forces as an officer, either Army, Air Force, Navy, or so many dimensions you can go into. But you have to go and clear the SSB. Otherwise, without SSB, you cannot be an officer, because this is the main central point that will determine that are you fit for being an officer or not. Therefore, SSB has been given the highest preference, weightage, and that is why there is so much hype of SSB within the people, within the aspirants, because it actually truly determines your suitability to be an officer. So that's all for today's episode, and thank you once again for joining me live, and it was as always lovely talking to all of you. And next episode, step by step, as I already discussed, stay connected on the official page. This session immediately in next 1 hour will be available, the recorded version on the YouTube, on our Explaino Expo TV, with whom we have partnered, who they are our media partners. So from there you can grab the recorded session as well. And once again, it was lovely talking to you, and I really love you all. Thank you so very much. Bye bye, take care, Jai Hind, Shubh Ratri.